Good morning, good morning. What's happening, family? Welcome to the show. It is Michelle Bryant. You're listening to WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. This is Say Something Real. And yep, so glad he said the mic was hot. I was about to say something crazy. So glad I caught myself. Good morning, Mr. Rideout. How you doing today, sir?
Well, I'm doing good. I've been thinking lately. Well, I wasn't here yesterday, so I got a chance to catch the show. You guys had a great, did a great job yesterday.
Did you hear Debo say how quiet it was without you?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna jump on Debo Hill.
Did you hear Debo say we got this well well did you hear Debo?
Yeah, you know.
So I just want because I was gonna tell you,
Mm-hmm.
how he acted
Mm-hmm.
when he was like, it's quiet up in here.
Uh-huh, I know. Yeah. 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 Well,
whose voices you doing? First of all, let's
Yeah.
just start with that. Let's start with that.
Well,
But we're glad that you're back.
Yeah, I'm back, but I got a question for you.
What? 21 questions.
Well, this one make 22.
Okay. What you got?
So, if I scramble eggs,
Uh-huh.
am I really frying chicken? That's a question.
You've been holding that one.
Hey, listen,
just heard that
as
one.
Keith Paris would say, it's one of them go out to the car moments and come back in. You got questions? No, but seriously.
Ask the question again.
So if I'm scrambling eggs, am I really frying chicken? Can't nobody answer. Okay. All right. It's just one of them unexplainable things. Like, which come first, the chicken or the egg? So I figure I ask, if I'm scrambling eggs, am I really frying chicken? Somebody help me out. Somebody got to answer.
Hang on 1 second. Hang on 1 second. No, scrambling eggs doesn't mean you're frying chicken.
Oh,
although both involve cooking eggs and using a pan.
Oh, yeah.
I typed it into AI to see what AI would say. But there is it's a brother. Let me see. I don't know. Because there's a whole thing on YouTube about this, and I had to go find it. Back in 2024. Is scrambled eggs really fried chicken? It's a short on. I'm gonna see if I can play it. I'll listen to make sure that there's no profanity in it. But yeah, I'm like, I know I heard this before.
I mean, I just never got the answer.
So some other people said scrambled eggs is really fried chicken. Like, it's a whole thing.
Yeah, it's fried chicken.
On social media about it. And people were like, weighing in all over the place. I'm like, but let me ask y'all about some government policy. Ain't nobody got
nothing to say about that one.
But we'll get you an answer.
Okay.
I'm gonna see if I can pull that up and play that though. Okay. So now that you've dropped that one, let's go to hello, Mr. DeBow. How are you today, sir?
Swishy soup.
I'm good. He invoked Carvey. He said something about your soup.
I had to swishy soup.
But are you okay, sir? You good this morning? Well, good.
Well, hold on. I can't hear him.
I can't hear him either.
Can't hear him. Was your mic on, bro?
I ain't did nothing. You in control over there.
Oh.
Okay, so now you good?
Yeah, I'm good. All of defending I did of myself, nobody heard.
Nope. But you can carry on, brother.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Well, wonderful. I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear it. Well, let me just say this. Let me, before I do anything this morning, say how I have not been watching any sports. Like when I say I've been out the game, I'm out the game. But and this and that, and the other stuff just because I just haven't been doing it as much. Um, but let me just say I tuned in just in time to see the Hail Mary buzzer beater
Yeah.
that Alabama State had
Yeah.
in their matchup in the NCAA tournament. And so I'm gonna just take it directly from Yahoo Sports because I don't want to pretend like I know all of the things that happened, but I saw the shot. I lost my mind. Alabama State is our family's school. It is where my son graduated. Um, many of my family members graduated from Alabama State, historically black college and university down in Montgomery, Alabama. And so, from an article in Yahoo Sports, March has officially begun, courtesy of Alabama State in the first four. The Hornets notched their first NCAA win, tournament win in program history on Tuesday with a football pass turned tip drill turned layup from Amar Knox, who put them ahead 70-68 over St. Francis with an assist from Micaiah Simpson. It was a proper start for March Madness in Dayton. Knox led Alabama State with 16 points on 8 of 15 shooting. The play was so ridiculous though. If you have not seen it, you have got to go and watch this play. Alabama State was trying to break a tie after back-to-back three-pointers from St. Francis, who had led for most of the game, but sputtered offensively at multiple times in the second half. Both teams were playing their first NCAA tournament game in over a decade. It was Alabama State's first since 2011 and St. Francis's first since 1991. Jesus. So Tuesday will be remembered as one of the brightest moments in Alabama State's program history. The reward, a date with the number one. And this is where now we get, the other side of why this tournament is such a gut wrencher is because they play Auburn tomorrow at 1:30. And Auburn is the number one seed. But, and I'm gonna tell you, I just want to say this real quick, Jermaine. When I was looking up the stories that I wanted to use to talk about the game, there is an article in, was it Rolling Stone? Where it looks like somebody already wrote the article about Auburn winning, and it's posted accidentally on Sports Illustrated. What we learned from Auburn's historic win against Alabama State. And I'm just like,
how,
what is this? And so I kept looking for the date. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, but yeah, it's an article. And I was like, was this for, I take it back. That was from football. That was from football. Because I was like, what is this headline? So anyway, but you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say this part of the year is very exciting for college basketball because it only take one time. It take one good game for you to advance. And at this point, any team can be beat because, if you have a team that come in that's playing harder than you, and it's a smaller school, that school can turn out to be that Cinderella school that upsets those number ones and twos and threes.
I mean, and then, reminding people to take every opponent seriously, because some of the number one, number two seeds come in cocky. You playing a school with a worse record, smaller school, and you blow it off, and you mess around and find out. So, like I said, I am so proud of the Hornets. And I know there is a nice contingency of folks from Milwaukee who went to Alabama State. And so big up State for doing your thing. I was, like I said, I turned on the TV just as the shot was happening and people were losing their mind. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? So now, I'm gonna suck it up and I'm gonna watch it tomorrow because whatever the outcome is, I need to be there and support him. So super, super proud. But hang on, my phone is ringing. Hold on.
It's ping, 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 ping.
Let me see.
You on
Let me
fire this
see.
morning.
Okay, so wait a minute. I will have to confirm. I got a text message saying that someone had been told that Fred Reed from the Milwaukee Commandos had passed away yesterday.
Fred Reed.
Yep. So I need to find out. Mm, 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 mm. I will find out. Shalom. Okay. Logic would tell you no, scrambling eggs is not fried chicken. For real. Number one, chicken has bones. Number two, for an egg to become a chicken, it has to first be fertilized, and eggs used for breakfast have not been fertilized.
But is an egg a chicken?
Look, I'm not gonna do this with
I'm
you and
just saying,
Craig.
but
I'm
is
not.
an egg a chicken? Craig, is an egg a chicken?
I'm not gonna do this with you and Craig. Y'all on your own.
It's a chicken.
If anybody knows anything about Mr. Fred Reed for sure, can you give us a call here? Because again, I know that my friend is telling me he was told that happened. Just want to make sure that we can also confirm it, because this man was a living legend in town. Somebody else said in relationship to the NCAA, last year all the number one seeds lost. Yeah. So we just gonna pay attention. All right. So let me do this real quick. I do have guests coming in this morning, 8:00. Milwaukee County will be here to talk about Milwaukee County days. But there are so many things going on in the news. It's hard to get to all of these stories. And y'all like, Michelle, talk about this, talk about this. What about this? What about this? So we're going to work as much in as we can. But let me just tell you a couple of things that I have been paying attention to that I want to flag for our community. Some say big deal, some say not, but I just need people to understand some of the backdrop. So there's a story. It says I'm taking mine from the root, but many places have been reporting this and talking about it. Segregation may really return to certain places in the United States. The federal government no longer prohibits contractors from having, quote, segregated facilities. Now, when we think about segregated facilities, remember we had ladies, we had men, we had colored, we had white, we had black or white and colored. Anybody but white people could use this bathroom, because colored encompassed everybody, Mexicans, anybody else. Said if you wasn't white, only white people could use this restroom. Everybody else, you use the colored restroom. So let me tell you what I'm talking about. In a public memo issued by the General Services Administration, the federal government no longer prohibits contractors from having segregated waiting rooms, restaurants, and water fountains. The memo specifically read, quote, when issuing new solicitations or contracts, do not include any of the following provisions and clauses. Prohibition of segregated facilities. Prohibition of segregated facilities. The repealed segregation clause was prompted by Donald Trump's executive order on DEI, which also rescinded President Lyndon B. Johnson's 1965 order that provided equal opportunity in federal employment for all qualified persons to prohibit discrimination in employment because of race, creed, color, or national origin, according to the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. This clause can be found in the Federal Acquisition Regulation, which is a set of rules agencies have to follow to write contracts for people providing services to the government. The clause reads, the contractor agrees that it does not and will not maintain or provide for its employees any segregated facilities at any of its establishments, and that it does not and will not permit its employees to perform their services at any location under its control where segregated facilities are maintained. The segregated facilities that are specified include restrooms, restaurants, parking lots, waiting rooms, and locker rooms. They also specify that you cannot segregate based on race, color, religion, or sexual orientation. So when people went back and looked at it, one of the folks that weighed in, they said it's symbolic, but it's incredibly meaningful in symbolism. In its symbolism, says Melissa Murray, a constitutional law professor at New York University. These provisions that require federal contractors to adhere to and comply with federal civil rights laws and to maintain integrated rather than segregated workplaces were all a part of the federal government's efforts to facilitate the settlement that led to the integration in the 1950s and 60s. So I brought this up because businesses still have to follow state and federal laws, which include the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed segregation. So that is, in fact, true. But the idea that anybody thought that this was worthwhile. See, this again, to all of the little, Black Republicans on this station that call into the station, in this city that support this nonsense. You know, the idea that people are literally of the mindset, like if Donald Trump could put Black people back in a Jim Crow era state, that's exactly where we would be. That's exactly where we would be. When you look at his staffing patterns, when you look at his cabinet members, when you look at his administration, you do not see any real color. You got a couple of token people in places, but it's clearly a white world in relationship to Donald Trump and the way he sees who should lead. There will be people that will say, do we really still need this kind of language if we got the 1964 voting rights or civil rights, 1964 Civil Rights Act that's still in play? But as we know, more and more of these things are coming under attack every day. I got to take a break, but I want to be clear. There is a concerted effort to peel back, to remove, to put in play a number of the divisive policies of racist era, 1940s, 50s. Somebody said the good old days, at his rallies. This is an old white man who is reminiscing about a different period. And you got younger white cats that have been indoctrinated into this foolishness to believe that if I highlight somebody else's accomplishment, I am in some way distracting or detracting, I should say, from the accomplishment of white people and white men in particular. So when we hear stories that the Native Americans or indigenous people that helped us win the war in terms of the cold talkers and, the 6888, the Black women who Secretary of Defense, make sure that their information is scrubbed now from the Defense Department's website. Tuskegee Airmen, scrubbed. Any contributions that any other group other than white men have made to this country is being removed from official documents, government websites, and then they tell you, well, it's still out there. You can find it somewhere else on the internet. And I just keep looking at these Black men in particular, like, how are you riding with this dude? You are so thin-skinned and weak and soft that the mere acknowledgement that somebody else contributed to this country's, formation, success, power, other than white men, you just can't take it. You can't deal with it. You're being harmed in some way. So we're going to remove this language. We're going to remove it. That says we will not have segregated facilities. I'll be right back.
Donald Trump is out of control, stopping payments for healthcare and food for hungry kids, eliminating the Department of Education, and letting Elon Musk access your most private information. Now Trump and Musk are backing Brad Schimmel because they know he'll let them do whatever they want. Not Judge Susan Crawford. She'll be the check and balance we need to protect us from Trump when he goes too far. That's why we need Judge Susan Crawford
with your host, Michelle Bryant, on WNOV.
All right, family, welcome back to the show. So let me just take a minute to tell you, why some of this stuff is so troubling to me. Before we went to the break, I talked about the fact that there has been removal of language from contractors doing business with the federal government about having segregated facilities, and that people, are explicitly told that if you contract with the federal government, you cannot have segregated restrooms, work areas, workspaces, anything that would segregate people out based on race, gender. They always say race, creed, color, sexual orientation, those kinds of things. Because, one of my fears is just that it speaks or harkens to a period of discrimination against people of color. And it just feels like we're taking many steps backwards. And there was a case out of Georgia that has received some attention, not nearly enough to me. We know more about the Indian young lady that is missing, whose parents have now requested that she be declared dead after a week of not being able to find her. Which that's just a whole nother story. But we've seen all the national coverage and the videos and here's the people of interest and blah blah blah. But there is a story out of Georgia that some of you have definitely seen. I just want to take an opportunity to highlight it myself. Uh, Two twin brothers from Georgia were supposed to be catching a flight to go to Boston to visit some friends with their family. I'm sorry, with some friends. So they had just graduated from high school. They were going to go to Boston, hang out with some friends, mom and dad, everybody on board, everybody knows, but they never made their flight. Okay. Instead, these two young men, these two twins, were found dead in the mountains bordering North Carolina. Now the family is pushing back on the police's troubling conclusion of what happened to the boys. So the twins, Kadir and Nazir Lewis, 19 years old, again, supposed to be on a 7 a.m. flight out to Boston on Friday morning. Around 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, their parents were notified by the police that the boys were found dead. Authorities said hikers reaching the top of Bell Mountain in Hiwassee, Georgia, called 911 to report the bodies of the twins. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation said they were found shot to death. The report says that the brothers' plane tickets were still inside their wallets. Nothing but questions swarmed the incident, considering the family was unfamiliar with the area where the twins were found. How did they end up out in the mountains? They don't hike out there. They've never been there before. They don't know anything about Hiwassee, Georgia. They've never heard of Bell Mountain. So how did they end up right there? These are questions that the family is asking. While the autopsy results are still pending, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation ruled the incident to be, and this is where the family snapped. They ruled the investigation to be a murder-suicide based on the preliminary investigation, which is impossible considering the twins were inseparable, had no evident history of conflict, the family tells local media. Mom says they're very protective, or, their uncle said they're very protective of each other. They loved each other. They were inseparable. They've never even had a fist fight before. So literally, here are two young 19-year-old Black young men just graduated from high school, getting ready to go hang out in Boston for the first time with some friends. They have their plane tickets in their pocket. So they clearly had planned to go to the airport. They end up in some remote area in the mountains in a place that they have never been before. And nobody can explain. There was no car. They didn't drive themselves up there. People are looking at the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, are looking at the local sheriffs and police like, so wait a minute. Let me just ask this question. So these two black boys end up dead in the mountains. How they get up here? Did they hitchhike? Where's their car? Where's the trail? Where's their luggage? Where's everything that indicates how they got here? And then we leaving with airplane tickets in our pocket, but one brother has a gun on him and decides, I'm gonna take me and my brother out. And so the family has pushed back like, nah, you're not getting ready to do this. You're not getting ready to say that that one of my children killed the other one and then killed himself. You're just not getting ready to do that. So now there is a firefighter that has been arrested, but he's only been arrested because he was taking pictures of the young men's bodies. You know, this other part with some of these folks that work in first responders that's just so ignorant and creepy to me. But the Georgia Bureau of Investigations has arrested and charged Scott Curlin, age 42, of Hiwassee, with misdemeanor obstruction. Curlin is a volunteer firefighter in Towns County who took photos of the Lewis twins' death scene and shared them publicly. Why would you do that? Just like the folks, you know, even though I realized Kobe Bryant was famous, but there were firefighters and police officers that were sharing the wreckage photos of Kobe Bryant and his daughter's death and the other folks in that tragedy, but you're sharing that online. Like, why would you do that? So right now, the family is pushing back. And, you know, I tell people, like, this sounds crazy. My son lives in Georgia, and I have never fully been comfortable with my son living in Georgia because of the racist past of this state. No more so than Alabama. No more so than either of those states. Mississippi, you know, where you just know that it's some ignorant, you know, you think about Ahmaud Arbery out jogging and then you end up dead. It is just that kind of nonsense that always has me worried, you know. And now, like, my son lives in a more rural area, and you just worry. You just worry. And so as you have at the federal level, a lot of the protections and things that were put in place to make sure that folks understood this is a different era. We are not still Jim Crow South. We are not still, you know, of the mindset that Black life does not matter. As these protections and these safeguards are put in place, to see this old white racist man in Donald Trump and many of the white racists that he has surrounded himself with dismantling all of these things, we should all be paying attention. Every one of us should be paying attention because in some way, shape, or form, we get impacted by this. So there are other aspects of some of the things that are happening around civil rights protections, but at some point, y'all, people of color are gonna have to speak up. We cannot just sit by and say, you know, this is we got this thing. Some people I know, they'll say, you know, white folks being white folks, and you just ignore it and you move on and you go on. And of course, we're not talking about all white people, so let's be clear about that. We're talking about the ones that are interested in trying to erase any mention of a contribution or celebration of a group of people that don't happen to be white men. You know, yesterday people again wanted to or Monday, you know, some people were still talking to me yesterday about what I said on Monday about St. Patrick's Day. If I can celebrate somebody being Irish, why can't I celebrate somebody being Black or somebody being female or somebody's contribution? So just so you know, because somebody said, could I be more specific about the code talkers? The Defense Department removed articles from the Navajo Code Talkers from its websites amid an ongoing campaign to rid the military of diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Many links that previously took viewers to informational articles about the Native American service members who used their native language as an indecipherable code to help win World War I and II were no longer accessible as of Tuesday afternoon. A Pentagon spokesperson said the department was working to rectify the situation, but they knew that it was removed because of Trump's directives on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Uh, a quick search on the Army website with the keyword Navajo Code Talkers on Tuesday produced several pages of results. But many articles that mentioned the Native American service members, once clicked, took viewers to pages that read internal server error. Over 45 links that populated when searching for the site for articles about Navajo Code Talkers had 20 of them had been removed, including one article titled Honoring Native American Contributions in U.S. Military History. The removals came as the military was purging its sites of images and web pages that were deemed DEI content. Donald Trump signed this executive order on his first day, calling for an end of radical and wasteful DEI programs. When questioned Monday about the removals of some of the pages honoring contributions to the military by women and minority groups, the Pentagon spokesperson, Sean Parnell, defended the decision. Quote, I think the president and the secretary have been clear on this, that anybody that says the Department of Defense that diversity is our strength is frankly incorrect. This is what this man said, a spokesman for the Pentagon. Anybody that says that diversity is our strength is frankly incorrect. It's unclear when exactly some of the pages about Navajo Code Talkers were taken down. According to the Internet Archive, several of the pages had been available as of November, and at least 2 articles were removed, were still on the website. But they go through this whole thing about the white racists continuing to go through everything that they can and purge the history of Black people, brown people, indigenous folks, and our contributions to this nation. Some of these things you don't win World War I or World War II without. You know, the Tuskegee Airmen never lose a plane. Never lose a mission. You don't move without us. And so, but anybody who says that diversity is not a strength is just downright ignorant. Because let's make it as simple as we can. Let's make it as simple as we can. What if you ate the same exact meal every day, 3 times a day? The same exact meal, 3 times a day. Who would want to do that? The same exact meal 3 times a day. What if you wore the same exact clothes every day? Every day. Same exact clothes. That's all you wore. That's all you wore. Same exact clothes. Diversity is number one, necessary even to move ideas. People bring different strengths to the table. You have diversity in a football team, for God's sake. You have diversity in a basketball team. Hang on a second. Who is it? What's the name? Get the name for me. It's diversity even in these basketball teams. Everybody doesn't play the same position. You have people that are kickers on a football team, and that's all they do. Jennifer Warren. Okay. Hey, y'all, give me one. Can we go to a break? Give me 1 second, y'all. Can because I'm not sure what that interview is. So if you let me go to a break. Hang on, family. I just found out that I may have an interview that I was not familiar with. So I'm getting ready to check. That's not until 8:00. Okay, yeah. Can you just let her know that's a part of the 8:00 interview? Okay, thank you. I wasn't sure what was happening. All right, y'all. We just had somebody calling in that's participating in our 8 o'clock interview with Milwaukee County. And so we had them, and I just wanted to make sure I didn't forget an interview. So we cool now. But okay. So sorry about that. Behind the scenes, listen, y'all got to, view, y'all got to hear. But I just want to make sure I didn't mess up. Okay. So just think about this though, y'all. Just think about this. Like any idiot that says diversity is not a strength. Everything that we do has diversity. If you are living a life that's interesting and engaging, it has diversity. Even if I'm exercising, I don't walk the same path every day. I split up my routine. Today I do, cardio. Tomorrow I do something else because I got to work different parts of my body. There's strength in diversity of an exercise routine, for God's sake. Every teacher does not teach the same subject. You have to learn multiple things. So it just shows how ignorant and short-sighted and I don't even know all the words that I need to form to talk about how ridiculous and pathetic these people are. That you don't understand that diversity is a strength. When you got people that have figured out how to put people on the moon, how to get those people from that back to earth that had been gone for 9 months, that was supposed to be gone for 8 days. When you have people that have figured out how to make Zoom technology work, how to create Facebook, how to create the internet, how to create AI, that's because people with different skill sets all came together to figure out a situation. When you look at a book, the author can put those words pen to paper and tell this amazing story. But an illustrator can bring all of that to life and add a visual component to those authors' words. That's diversity. And the fact that these small-minded, ignorant, hateful people keep trying to make something that is so natural, that is so good, a dirty word. And you got all of these people standing up trying to defend it. If McDonald's only sold a Big Mac, how long would McDonald's stay in business? If McDonald's only sold one item, a Big Mac, how long would they stay in business? Not long. Because people may want fish sandwiches. People may want a salad. People may want, fries to go with that burger. So they had to diversify their menu, their product offerings. No store is only selling one product. Even if I'm selling lamps, it's the lamp store. I got different kinds of lamps for different kinds of people. Some of y'all are traditional. Some of y'all still rocking French provincial. Don't know what's going on with y'all. Some of y'all got, like a Western theme in your house. Some of y'all contemporary. So I got to have different types of lamps. The same lamp can't go in every house. That's diversity at its simplest, y'all. How are you against that? So this idiot who says anybody that tells you that diversity is the strength in the military is wrong. You ignorant. You ignorant. Let me just switch from ignorant to ignorant. You ignorant. And you want to stay. You want to stay that way. So somebody just said I could eat fried chicken every day. Good luck with that. Because your body and your arteries will tell you, no, you will not. It will kill you. It will kill you. Just like one of my friends, he was juicing and he was doing carrot juice. And he did it every day to the point that his hands turned orange. And I'm like, hey, bro, that's too much of that. You got to diversify what you're doing. That's too much of that. Even good things. You got to diversify. So I just had to say that because I just can't with these people. And I can't with this trail of black people that's running behind these Republicans like lapdogs, signing off on and trying to encourage people to come over to and support a group of people who are being willingly led by somebody that's so inherently racist. It's a history of racism in Donald Trump's family. It's showing up. It's a history of racism in Elon Musk's family. It's showing up. And you just got these people that keep trying to tell our folks, no, this is where you need to land. This is where you need to go. This is who you need to rock with. I was disgusted and appalled about how they put this flyer together that has I think it's Joshua Glover's picture on it. And Republicans still trying to claim like they were instrumental in black liberation and freedom. They were not. The parties flipped. That's that whole Martin Luther King card carrying member. Stop playing with people. You know the Republican Party today is not the Republican Party of the 1800s. Stop playing with people. So somebody just said, I am a vocational rehabilitation counselor. Let's see. Who works with students and adults with disabilities. My role is to help my participants use their abilities to gain employment, get their driver's license, go to college, or whatever it is they would do for employment. I work with an array of participants, and I get to see different backgrounds. This is diversity at its finest. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I just, it's too much. I see why some people are just falling back and walking away and like just trying to hold their head down and let's pray we can get through these 4 years. But this is the thing. If you don't check some of this stuff in right now, the damage will be long term. A judge came out and said that Elon Musk did not have the authority to shutter the USAID office. He does not have the authorization to do that. While USAID was created by an executive order, at some point, Congress codifies it into law. So it's no longer an executive order that is responsible for USAID being in existence now. Congress has came in and done an authorization and made this a part of our infrastructure. So Elon Musk had no authority to go in and dismantle something that Congress put together. And I mean, y'all, they so petty and ridiculous, right down to taking the letters off the building. That was a high priority to go strip these letters off the building. The judge comes in and says, you didn't have the authority to do that. Okay, obviously this is going to be appealed, but the damage has been done already. Organizations are suffering already. Programs have collapsed already. People have been turned away and have went hungry already. I don't know that we're going to be able to fix that. So it is going to be the American people that have to check this, because Republicans have demonstrated that are in leadership and control in terms of the House and the Senate and Congress, that they have ceded all their power to Donald Trump. So it's going to be everyday people by way of ballot, protest, advocacy, marching, whatever way you feel like, and understand within the legal parameters of the law that we have to move, that are going to have to check this in. Because they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it, y'all. This is crazy. They're not going to do it. Let me take a break. I'll be right back.
County, we want to make sure that we are like representing across all 19 municipalities.
Okay.
So the other thing to think about with county days is we know that depending on where you live in Milwaukee County, you might have different needs. So, for example, where I live on the far northwest side of the city, there's a lot more older adults.
Okay.
We also see, like a population of older adults down on the South Shore area of Milwaukee County.
Right.
So we've done some county days, like we did one in Brown Deer, and we were also able to connect with older adults from like the 53223, 53218 that north side of Milwaukee area,
Got it.
so that we could bring resources to them in their neighborhood close to where they live, right? And so we're continuing to do that. And so today we have fantastic folks from our children's mental health area. And like when you think about like Maria be in the streets.
Now that could be good or bad.
Good. No, I didn't say she was for the streets.
I mean, I'm just saying, you gotta watch how you say stuff. Because tomorrow somebody be like, girl, did you hear they said Maria was out here in these streets, girl? So you just gotta watch how you say it.
I know, but no, like it's a compliment. I mean it in a good way. All love here. So like Maria is one of the people from the county where if there's an event, if there's something going on, if there's a need, she's gonna be there.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah,
like
yes.
she's always out. And so I'd love for you. I'm not sure if you got a chance to introduce yourself.
We haven't even done introductions
awesome,
yet.
Awesome.
So Maria, and so we'll get the names first so everybody knows who's on board, and make sure we got Jen still with us. So who's the handsome guy sitting on the end over there? Who's like, I cannot believe I'm in here talking about nail polish with you.
My nails aren't white.
And got the big old Band-Aid on.
And I will say, I spent last evening in the urgent care.
No.
Staff, so yeah, I couldn't get a mandolin cut to stop bleeding last night. So
Whoa.
with that. So that's my bling that I have on. Pleasure to be here. I'm
Nice to
Bryant
meet you.
McBride. I'm the director for Children's Community Mental Health in our Wraparound Milwaukee program. So Maria, I'm grateful to be able to work for Maria. And you're right, she is out there day in and day out spreading the good word and getting connected to families and resources across our great county. So it's a pleasure.
All right. And I think we're also joined online by Jen. Are you there?
I am, yes.
Hey, go ahead and introduce yourself to the listeners as well.
My name is Jennifer Warren. I'm the Regional Communications Director with the American Red Cross of Wisconsin.
Very, very nice to meet you. Now, do you prefer Jen or Jennifer? Which one?
Either one is fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure. All right, so yes, we are talking about county days now for folks that are like, okay, so what does that look like for this year? We heard, understood what you did, for last year. So what does that look like for this year? And then we'll talk about what people can expect, and so all the logistical stuff about what's happening with it.
Awesome. So our next county days is going to be at Carmen Middle School of Science and Technology, the South Side location.
Okay.
The address for that is 2433 South 15th Street.
Okay.
And so
that's tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow, yeah. Yep, it's tomorrow. And it's going to be tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. And then right after that, we'll have a resource access forum from 6 to 7 p.m. because we want to make sure that we can also continue to bring different departments out to let people know how to access their services.
So Maria, let me start with you then, because I mean, now the hype has been put out there. So I mean, Bryant, he like laced it on, and Samaya set it up. So tell folks about the work that you're doing and what they can expect if they were to engage you out at County Days.
All right. So I'm the community outreach coordinator for Wraparound Milwaukee with Behavioral Health Services, and going out into the community, whether it's doing presentations, doing resource events, just getting information out to the community, people who are going to have contact with folks who are in need of resources. When folks come out to county days, I think it's a great opportunity to meet the different department heads, like different people from different departments, to be able to talk to them about your own individual needs and what you might need help with, or what you don't even know you might need help with, to figure out like what are the resources that Milwaukee County overall offers. But for specifically children. We do service up to 23. So anyone who's having, some concerns or might just want to know what's offered for children here in Milwaukee County should come out and be able to talk to me and learn about the work that I do out in the streets and talk about, the individual needs that you might have. And learn about the different resources that not only we offer for behavioral health, but then also on the children's disability side.
So I guess I'm trying to wrap my head around some of what this work actually looks like, when people are saying, okay, you're right, I don't know about the services and what's offered. So, and I just want to make sure it's Bryant, right?
Yep.
Okay. Because I got a Byron that works here and I keep wanting to say that. So Brian,
my house, I'll respond to that.
look, I'm my kind of guy. So Brian, so how does your work, complement or what are you charged with doing in relationship to services that are available to families?
Sure. So when you really look at it, we look at the mental health and behavioral health needs and supports for youth and families.
And how young does it start? What age would?
We as little as we need to. 5 years old in a lot of cases is where we will see some of the youth coming forward with more behavioral health that might be looking like mental health at certain points, but we're just always trying to support families. And if it isn't a service that we're able to provide, we want to make sure that we connect individuals to community-based services. At the end of the day, it's about making sure you get your need met. We offer formal programming. We offer, Medicaid-based opportunities for families, plus a lot of community agencies that we partner with for resources that individuals and families can get their hands on. But at the end of the day, what we did many years ago was integrated our front door, meaning that we have a opportunity for individuals to call, and we do what we say options counseling, right? That's the no wrong door philosophy here for Milwaukee County. Is when you make contact with us, we want to be able to connect you with the resource that you're needing. So whether it's a mental health or behavioral health need, or it's a housing need, or it's just something in the community that you're looking to, our intake team really is designed to make sure those needs are met for families.
All right, let me bring Jen into the conversation. So Jen, the work that's being done over at the American Red Cross, how does that show up in terms of county days and what folks can expect should they stop by and engage you during this day? Jen, did we lose her? We'll try and call her back. Okay.
Can I just
So
add one thing?
yeah,
to
of
what Brian
course.
was saying?
Yeah.
So, because I really want to highlight one of the things that Brian talked about is how, like, within the last maybe 3 to 4 years or so, we've really made an effort to simplify the process that families and caregivers have to move through to get access to care. We call it no wrong door, because you used to literally have to go through probably 10 different doors.
Right.
If you had a housing need, you had to go there. If you had a mental health or behavioral health need, you had to go through there. If you had a child with a disability. So what he's really describing is like this effort to make things more centered around the needs of families and simplify that process. So you can call that line and talk about all of the needs that you have and know that you have a person who's able to like listen to you and help you get connected in an easier way. So that's significant. That's a significant improvement and change that we've made and invested a whole lot of resources to be able to, again, make that process easier for families.
No, I certainly appreciate it. Every time I've heard it described, I always think of 211, in which you can call and be directed to, now once you start trying to execute that becomes a different ball game, but at least they have everything, a slate of things in front of them that is all encompassing. And so I love the idea, as somebody who formerly worked in social work, who has dealt with parents who said, go here, you need to talk to these people. And, people would spend an entire day running all over, and, just to get someplace, and you didn't have an appointment. You didn't, we only see so many people a day. And it just would be the most frustrating thing. And the lady said, had I known what to do when I left this morning, I could have started in the right place.
Right.
So you're right. I appreciate the investment. And it has, I know, has made a difference and an impact for folks utilizing services. So it looks like we got Jen back. Jen, what can folks expect to learn about the American Red Cross or services that you all provide as a part of County Days?
I'm sorry, say that again, please.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
I'm here.
No. I was just asking for folks that may see you all out at county days in terms of the American Red Cross, what types of information or resources would they learn about in engaging your representatives?
Sure. So when we're at County Days, we're going to be focusing on promoting our Sound the Alarm program,
Okay.
signing up residents in need of smoke alarms for a free smoke alarm installation, and a home fire safety talk or yeah.
And let me just ask a question, because I think about this every time we see a tragedy in a home, someone has unnecessarily died, or we realize a life was saved because somebody heard a smoke detector, or the numerous times firefighters will go in and say there wasn't a working smoke detector in the home. Does the American Red Cross have any idea or data about how many homes don't have the appropriate protection that they need by way of at least a fire, a smoke detector or fire alarm in their homes? Because I tend to think a lot of us know about this, but then you see these incidences in the paper and you realize I don't think we're doing as well as I thought.
Yeah. So each year, the Red Cross responds to around 60,000 disasters, and the majority of those are home fires. Home fires claim approximately 7 lives every day, but having a smoke alarm can cut that risk of death in half.
Wow. So it looks like there will be an array of different types of information and services available. But, I just, when you guys were talking, Maria and Brian, about children's mental health and the kind of things, that families could benefit by way of resources, and I asked the question, how young could you see a child, and figure out that there's an issue or a problem? And I guess I'm just curious, just for a moment, if I could. So are people like, are they saying, I think something is wrong, or I'm noticing certain things when you talk about behavior, and they're reaching out for help? I mean, how do children come your way?
A lot of it could be through schools. A lot of schools have said, like, hey, we got some needs here. We just don't know exactly what we can do about it. Parents are not sure. Maybe they're getting phone calls from school saying, hey, we think something's going on, but we're not really sure. Or, maybe daycare is saying, hey, something needs to happen here, or maybe the child won't be able to come here. So it could look a number of different ways for a number of different kids. But I think if there's any, like, just even a gut feeling like, hey, something's not right, maybe this child isn't developing like my other children, or, my friends' families, or however, like when you do a comparison, just give us a call. There's no wrong question. So just giving us the call to say, hey, what might this be? And we can help you from there. So even if it's a younger child, because we are in that dual screening with the no wrong door, that even if it's maybe a birth to 3 child, if this is somebody who might benefit from some of the waiver programs, just having that family reach out to know what their options are. So if it comes to the point where they need resources, that they think of Milwaukee County as an option for their child. So it's all voluntary, so no one should be worried about, like, I have to do this once I make a call. It's getting the information and knowing that you have access to the resources. So just giving us a call at 257-7607 just to learn about what is available, I think, is a huge step.
So, Brian, of the array of programs that you guys offer or services that you offer, are there any that you see that are either popular, or, like, we get a lot of folks that show up in this space in relationship to the work that we do? Are there any programs that stand out?
Sure. Well, a few. When you look at some of the mental health based programs that we offer, so our comprehensive community service and our REACH programs are formal programs that individuals can get enrolled into to get their needs met, and they vary in their intensity and expectations of programming. But I think the one that I would highlight here for your question is our community-based drop-in center, Owen's Place. Owen's Place is a resource center that's designed for youth and young adults to be able to stop in and be able to get resources met, whether it be educational support.
You said youth and young adults.
Mm-hmm.
So these are young people taking their own care and
Yep. So they can come in with
that's
a
cool.
resource on their own. The idea is that, there's a lot of stigma that's attached to some of the services that we offer. And we want to be able to say, here's an opportunity for you to get support. Here's an opportunity for you to come and say, I've had a stressful day. I need a space for me to just relax. So there's recreation type stuff, there's gaming stuff, there's computer labs, plus all formal supports that people can get. And the idea is to not only have a space for youth and young adults to be able to have all of that opportunity, but then to be around peers that they can learn from and that they can interact with positively. And then, staff members who are there to be supportive and peer supports that can help. And, we have 2 locations, one on right on Fond du Lac Avenue, right around the corner here, and then one on National Avenue on the south side.
Okay, so I love the idea of young people not necessarily having to wait on their parents to make a move, and young people being old enough to understand that, I need some additional help, or I got some questions, or I need a place to go to ask questions. Jen, if I could bring you in for a second, I was looking at something in relationship to the storms that we just recently had over the past weekend, and there were tornado warnings in effect. And there was this family, and they said that the family, had down in, I think it was Alabama, the family had seen these weather systems before. They were like, we're going to tough it out. We'll be okay. And that their child had just recently seen something in school and received some education about what to do in case of a tornado. And their child kept insisting, no, we need to leave. No, we need to leave. And so the parents, for whatever reason, because they, no, we're okay, sweetie. And this child was so insistent that they left. The damage that was done to their property was crazy. And they believe that child saved their life. So when I think about the work that you all do at the American Cross and this program, so how often are children being educated, Jen, in relationship to the American Red Cross about some of the safety resources that you all provide?
Sure. So we do have like classes for children. They can take if they're interested in babysitting, they can take a Red Cross babysitting class. We also have some, programs that go into schools as well and talk with children. So, we have a few things that are available to children.
Okay. Well, look, I need to take a quick break. When we come back, I want to be able to give people the information again about where the event is taking place, how they can be involved. And if I can't make it, how else can I reach out to get assistance? And if there are any programs that we didn't highlight that we should mention, or some work that's critical, we want to make sure we hit that as well. Michelle Bryant, y'all, here at WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be right back.
This moment in Women's History Month is brought to you by U.S. Bank. Whatever your financial goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Initiatives support you in reaching them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member of FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Schoolhouse Rock had nothing on Alma Thomas. Alma Thomas, born in 1891, was an African-American artist and educator known for her vibrant abstract paintings that often featured bold colors and rhythmic patterns. She was associated with the Washington Color School, a movement linked to color field painting. Her most famous works, like Resurrection, the first artwork by a Black woman to be added to the White House collection, are characterized by mosaic-like dabs of paint arranged in dynamic, almost kaleidoscopic patterns. Despite facing racial and gender barriers, Thomas had a significant impact on the art world. She didn't gain widespread recognition until later in life, after retiring from a 35-year teaching career. Her work often drew inspiration from nature, space exploration, and the optimism of the civil rights era. Today, her paintings are in major museums like the Smithsonian American Art Museum and the Metropolitan Museum.
What does access mean?
Access means
owning a home. Access means growing my business.
Access means building generational wealth.
No matter your goals, U.S. Bank Access Commitment Programs and initiatives provide the tools and resources to help you reach them. Access your financial goals at usbank.com/access. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Donald Trump is out of control, stopping payments for healthcare and food for hungry kids, eliminating the Department of Education, and letting unelected billionaire Elon Musk fire anyone he wants and get access to your most private information. We need a Supreme Court justice who will keep them in check before they go too far. That's Judge Susan Crawford.
I'm Judge Susan Crawford. As a former prosecutor and now as a judge, I believe in protecting you, your family, and your right to privacy, and that women have the right to make their own decisions about their health care. Because to me, that's just common sense.
Donald Trump and Elon Musk are both backing Brad Schimmel. He'll do whatever they want. That's why we need Judge Susan Crawford, the common sense judge who will keep them in check. Judge Susan Crawford for Supreme Court. Paid for by Susan Crawford for Wisconsin. Crawford for WI.com.
I'm Howard Robertson, founder and creator of the Play Ode app. Back in the day, we used to ask, how you living? And that's still a relevant question today. Listening to good stuff helps you live well, like what you hear on the Play Ode app. ODE stands for Our Digital Entertainment, so you enjoy the best radio stations playing the best classic R&B, hip-hop, gospel, smooth jazz, news, sports, and podcasts. And new sounds are coming at you in 2025, so don't wait or hesitate. Download PLAYODE today.
860 AM 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice. Now, back to Say Something Real with your host, Michelle Bryant.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. I got the folks from the Office of Equity in the building or out in the streets, depending on who you're talking to. I ain't calling no names. Maria, I ain't calling no names. I also understand we may need to give a shout out. We got a listener who is hitting Bryant up like, I hear you, old man, on the radio. Okay, I added the old man part. Brian, you want to say hey to your partner?
Hey there, Wilton. Hope everything's going all right. Good to connect with you.
Good. You know, we were just saying it's pretty cool. Stuff comes full circle. Young people we've interacted with over time. I see people when I'm out in the street and they like, again, I'm out here with Maria. And so I see people and they was like, Miss Michelle. I'm like, yeah, 25 years ago. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, it's crazy. I had one of my kids come up to me. I was in the airport and this guy, he looked it was cold, Wisconsin cold. Like when we say it's cold, it's cold. And in the airport, and he breezes through the airport. He had these shorts on and some flip-flops. And I'm like, what is wrong with this man? And then he ends up walking by me and he walks back and he was like, Miss Michelle. And I was like, why do I know someone who has those shorts? It looks crazy. And like, he's a serial killer in this store. I mean, in this airport. And everybody looked at me like, you know him? I don't know him. He was like, Miss Michelle. It was one of my kids from residential treatment who was now a pilot.
Wow.
I was blown away. And he lives in Hawaii and he had just come over. I was like, explain these shorts to me, please. He's like, I live in Hawaii and da-da-da. But, so that impact that you make, Brian, I said it speaks lots of volumes about you. And you said, or about him. We come across some amazing people and the impact and the work that's done I told folks working in child welfare, wraparound was a lifeline for so many people in our community and our family. And then for Maria to say, hey, I've been doing this for 20 years and I didn't even realize wraparound, because it seems way older. It's only 30 years old, but the impact has been crazy. So for folks that are listening, there will be all kinds of vendors that will be present at county days with these critical kinds of services and resources. So additional groups that are going to be there, Samaya.
So additional groups, we're going to have the zoo. We want people to, get out to the zoo. The weather is getting nicer. We're going to have child support services, to make sure that people can get connected to, review cases if need be. We're going to have the aging services, or our aging and disability services. Folks will be there. Also, our Office of Persons with Disabilities. We'll have folks from the health department there, the City of Milwaukee Health Department, the library. So in total, we have about, you heard the Red Cross. So in total, we have about 16 different community organizations and county departments that'll be there. But in addition to that, we're trying something new, right? Because again, we want to make sure that we're bringing resources and information to people where they are. And so we are going to do a resource access forum. So with that, the topic is going to be on transportation, because we know that is something that is so important to Milwaukee County. And so we're going to have some panelists from Milwaukee County's Department of Transportation, the transit system, Mobilize, and then also Bubbler Bikes.
The transportation piece is interesting. So we have some folks that are working with our family because we got aging parents. And number one, I'm always blown away by the number of people that do not drive, or folks that have been traumatized driving because of reckless driving, and they have now said, that's enough, I need a break. And I mean, literally, one of the workers that was working with our family, she came and she said, so I catch the bus out here, and because she was in a reckless driving situation, and she was like, it's too much. And so more and more people, that traditionally had not been using public transportation are making that switch. But then the piece on the bubbler bikes and folks being able to, like I had young kids, I saw them, get their debit cards and swipe and do whatever they needed to do. And I had to smile because the freedom, to see that group of kids, and they were all hanging out, laughing. I mean, it almost made me want to go get one, but I haven't ridden a bike in 100 years. But, just to see that, and that a level of independence and freedom that people are being afforded on something that can be actually quite pricey if you get a nice, decent, stable bike. And so, that transportation piece, I don't care who we are. If you're aging and you got to have a ride to the doctor, we've been hearing people have been concerned about cuts to programs and, what can I do? How do I get around? So that transportation piece becomes very, very critical.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I mean, we've had folks from transportation here, to talk about some of the programs. I remember back when we talked about the Rosa Parks program, all these different things. So we're continuing to really, encourage people to ride the bus. Like we ride the bus. My son was frustrated with me this morning. He's like, you work for the county. Can I get, can I get a free bus pass? I'm like, sorry, honey, it don't work like that. However, here's
I like your son's thinking. There was some perks with this job.
Right.
Like what?
For the whole family.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that. However,
friends and family discount something. I need something. What's the purpose of knowing people in high places if I'm not benefiting?
Right.
Yeah, I'm terrible. No.
Well, so he would agree with you. But the whole idea is like, it actually made me like feel like really happy and like proud. Okay, like cool. Like he's 19, he's home from college, he's being independent, and he's, like utilizing the resources in the county. So we're really trying to encourage that and make sure that, people know about what's available to them. So come on out to county days and you can learn more about, some of these awesome resources to help you get around our beautiful county.
Well, I will tell you, you don't appreciate transportation till you don't have it. And I've told this story often when my son left to go to Alabama State, who won in the NCAA tournament again. I'll say that again today. But you saw it. Oh my God. I was like, I saw the end, but I was screaming. even though they play Auburn tomorrow. Sigh, deep breath. But I remember when my son left to go to college, I was like, hey, you're not driving, because statistically I had read research that said that students who go to school away from home are most likely to be involved in an auto accident that first year. You know, you got your friends in the car, you showing out, you going to new places, you don't understand the lay of the land. So I wouldn't let him take his car first year. And so I said, ride the bus, you know, because I'm thinking about Milwaukee County Transit. Ride the bus. You can go anywhere in Milwaukee just about on the bus. My son called me. He was like, hey, the only bus they got down here is where Rosa Parks wouldn't get off of. He said they don't have no bus trips. And I was like, what? And I thought it was a joke. They really didn't have like in any way comparable what we have in terms of public transportation. So yeah, it's not too bad. You go somewhere else. And I just told people not a week ago, I was out in Philly, and I don't know how, but as soon as I hit the city, my Chase thing comes up on my phone saying, so you can use your phone to access the bus, you know, in transit while you're here. Just, you know, and the thing is, and I hurry up and text DC county exec. I said, do we have this in Milwaukee? He's like, it's called Wisco, Michelle. I was like, oh, tell me. So you realize like we are actually doing very well. You know, always room for improvement, but we're doing pretty good here in the county. So folks, there is a lot to learn, a lot to get information and resources about. And let me just bring in Jen. Are you still with us? I think we lost her again. I heard her moving around. Okay, but so just once again to remind people, so this is on the south side though.
It's on the south side. Yep. So we're going to be at the south side
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
I know I was going to sing it too. We're gonna have our whole Annie moment up in here. And then it was against a Hard Knock Life. And so,
all right. Which one? Hove or which version?
I'm doing Hove.
Okay.
I'm doing Hove. In fact, somebody was singing it on my way to work this morning. That's a full circle moment.
You see, we have a good time here. So again, tomorrow, from 4 to 6
Wait,
p.m.
hold on. Can you get the Hard Knock Life version from the movie? Hope was there. Yeah, I need that. I need that.
Love it. Get the soundtrack.
Yes.
Start beatboxing.
You did not just start beatboxing. Stop it. Wait a minute. Did y'all get this on camera?
There we go.
This is going to show up in your evaluation.
There you go.
So we got folks out in the streets. We got beatboxing. Look, Bryant trying to be all saintly over here. Yes, my former students, I get it too. Yeah, we don't have no dirt on Bryant. We gotta get some.
Oh my God. You know, there's so much going on. We have to show up with joy. That's what I was saying. You know, like there's so much like we're still out here. We're doing the best that we can to make sure we can, you know, get people connected. And so got to show up with joy.
You do. and you know, and I'm just going to say, in a time when, and I was having that conversation before you guys came on, I said, I always say this too. It's funny, God to give you what you need sometimes when you don't realize it or just on time. Yeah. Because I was having a weighty conversation about, you know, the loss of services and the attack on diversity, you know, that you had somebody from the Department of Defense saying, if anyone told you that diversity was a strength of the military, they were wrong. And you sit and you go like, are you serious right now? So when you hear people that are out spreading information about, look, this is available, this is, you know, we're here to help, we stand ready, you know, and everyone is welcome. It is a great counter to some of the crazy that we have going on. So remind people how they can take advantage of County Days and the great work that you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So again, it's going to be tomorrow at Carmen Middle School over on the south side. The address there is 2433 South 15th Street. And that's going to be tomorrow from 4 to 6 p.m. It's going to be the resource fair. And right after that, we'll have the resource access forum from 6 to 7 p.m. And again, that topic is going to be on transportation.
All right, folks. So you heard it. You got folks out here that are trying to get information to the community, make us aware of what's available for us, for our young people. Please take advantage of these things. You know, I tell people all the time, you don't use it, you lose it. And hey, I hear it. It's going to be a party in the studio in just a few minutes. So I want to thank the great folks at the Milwaukee County Office of Equity, Jackie Zeladon, for always hitting us up, making sure I got what I need. To the late one, but the great one, Miss Sumaya Clark. Thank you. Maria, I don't even know what to say about you.
You can find me at County Days tomorrow.
And Bryant, thank you so much, sir. Like them glasses. You're the county exec, got similar glasses. Like those. I like those clear. Oh, that. See, Brian just coming through looking all like a rock star. Like, yes, Michelle.
You see, he's the grounding energy.
Yes. It's like, yeah, because Maria look like she can get loose up in here. So.
I haven't done my eval yet, so I can't wait.
Look, so we understand that there are other things that play in the background. All right, y'all. We're going to wrap this segment. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for what you do. Community, take advantage of these services and resources. And if you can't make it there, where's a number that they can call to figure out what else?
For children's resources or just knowing about county resources in general, give us a call at 414-257-7607.
All right, family. So let me go to break. I'll be back in my what? I can't with y'all. Yeah, good. Can I take a music break, please? see what I go through here? I need some resources. Oh, wait, he needs some resources. We got some behavior issues over here. He needs resources. We'll be right back, y'all. I can't stand you, man. Oh, my God. Let me just mention real quick something that caught my eye in relationship to DPI. The state legislature has passed a bill that would go back and basically reverse what Jill Underly did in terms of changing the way in which um, the NAEP scores are like discussed or talked about in terms of children's performance. So, and I let me just get the language correct because where is it at? Where's the story? Okay, I will find it. But in any case, the legislature on a partisan vote, partisan lines, passes this bill, AB 1 and Senate Bill 18, um, to be able to basically reverse what Jill Underly did and the department under her leadership with changing the way, and I talked about that here on the station, about how children are assessed, and what the language is in terms of the assessments. So whether it was at level, competent, and I just don't have all of it in front of me because I, for some reason, misplaced the story. But I even raised concerns about that language and that parents didn't really understand it and why were we doing it that way. Um, there it is right there. Okay, finally. Thank God. So I questioned it myself and why we were doing it that way. But it passes in both the Assembly and the Senate. And so now that bill is on its way to Governor Evers' desk. Tony Evers had come out and said that he didn't agree with what had been done. The governor, who had formerly been the superintendent of public instruction himself for, I think, 10 years, that was one of the first things that made me question what kind of trouble Jill Underly might be in, because Tony Evers was saying something, negative about something that she had done, shortly before an election cycle. You don't usually do stuff like that if you're trying to protect a candidate and support a candidate. And so Evers, though, most likely is going to veto this bill, even though he expressed problems with the new system. Democrats were against this bill. And what Tony Evers at least said is the legislature are not the experts on determining how people what the language should be around assessing kids' ability and performance and competency. Let the folks that are the experts do that. That's kind of the gist of what Tony Evers said. So it's not about that I agree with what Jill Underly did, but I agree that the decision or the power to make those decisions should be with the Department of Public Instruction, not with the legislature. And so I'm assuming that's why Democrats in the legislature did not support this bill. I don't think that any of them voted for it. So it's just one of those things that I would tell people just to pay attention to, because the Republicans are using this as one of their selling points and why we should select Brittany Kinzer, an education consultant, to be the DPI, next superintendent. Just pay attention to it. The other thing I'll just quickly say is it's funny too. I looked at the article that was done by Molly Beck in the Journal Sentinel, and then they used photos of Jill Underly and Brittany Kinzer, and it's amazing what a photo will do for you or to hurt you. So the photo that they use of Jill Underly, which is kind of blurry, faded, it's not the quality of the picture is not a good quality, because I went online and I searched for this exact photo and I found a crisp, vibrant, actual photo that doesn't look like this faded out one that's here in the article. Brittany Kinzer's photo is vibrant and popping, and she looks young and youthful, and Jill Underly looks old and faded. And I'm like, people don't understand and appreciate all of this plays into voter psyche about making decisions. all of this plays. So the first thing I would ever tell a campaign is to make sure that you have campaign photos that are available. Now, the media will be janky and do what they want to. I talk about how they did Lena in her race for county executive. They put Scott Walker, his photo was in a suit and tie and looking all crisp. And they put Lena's photo of her in a sweatshirt when she had a cold. She either had pneumonia or she had a cold. She visibly looked sick on the photo. But there are 1,000 pictures of Lena Taylor, who is one of the most photogenic people I know, in suits, professional attire. But the person who picked the photos for the story, they were intentionally sending a message. So they put Scott Walker in a business suit, looking crisp and clean, and they put Lena in a sweatshirt, looking disheveled and sick. I'm not saying that that's what happened in this case, but I am saying that that's the impact. That Underly looks old, washed out, faded. Brittany Kinzer looks shiny and new in terms of these photos. I'm just saying, Jermaine laughing at me, but wait, okay, you look at it. Oh, did it? Okay, I'll pull it back up. But yeah, you look at it and tell me, I'll bring it back up if I'm wrong. So we're going to talk about some of this stuff tomorrow. I got to talk about Brad Schimmel. Brad Schimmel is trying to, put out in the air that if anything crazy goes wrong in the election, that there might be an issue about fraud in Milwaukee. I love to, only black folks is the ones that do voter fraud. Yet, if you look at who gets arrested for it, it's not really us, but okay. And it's not really Democrats, but okay. We'll talk about all that stuff tomorrow. Let me thank the folks in the studio, bros. I appreciate you. Mr. Rideout, Mr. DeVoe. And let me say hello to my colleague, Mr. Paris. I swear to God, you and your thumb make me so sick. Family, I appreciate y'all patience this morning. Talk to y'all tomorrow.